Imagine a quiet, unassuming town in the heart of Iowa, where the nights were once peaceful, filled with a comforting silence. Until, one autumn night, the silence was broken with eerie whispers of something unnatural lurking in the shadows. It was during a time when life was simple, until the unthinkable happened. Reports of a towering bat-like creature with massive wings and a glowing horn that could cut through the darkest night sent waves of terror through the townsfolk. Gunfire couldn't harm it. Darkness couldn't hide it. And fear couldn't keep it away. This is the harrowing tale of the Van Meter Visitor. Hello everyone, and welcome to Wicked Encounters, where we explore just what goes bump in the night. I'm your host, Allie, and today we're taking a trip to Iowa to learn more about a special visitor they had over there, specifically in the small town of Van Meter. More specifically, we're going to discuss the Van Meter Visitor. The Van Meter Visitor has grown into a cornerstone of local folklore and a subject of interest for cryptozoologists, and we're going to explore to see exactly why that is. So, let's begin. The legend of the Van Meter Visitor dates back to autumn of 1903, during the months of September and October, when an unsettling shadow seemed to fall over Van Meter. As autumn nights grew longer, an eerie stillness gripped the town, broken only by whispers of strange lights and winged otherworldly shapes stalking the darkness. The air grew thick with unease, and even the bravest residents tried to avoid the streets after sundown, casting nervous glances towards the coal mine looming at the town's edge. Multiple residents reported encounters with a bizarre, winged creature that seemed to be half human and half animal. This monstrosity was said to stand between 7 and 9 feet tall, possessing enormous, smooth bat wings that allowed it to fly high above the town with a speed the town residents have never witnessed before. It would perch atop buildings and survey its surroundings like a predator looking for an easy kill. Though it wasn't difficult for the town to know when its unwanted visitor was nearby, as it had a powerful stench to it that it sometimes released. Stinky, noxious farts. But even though they could tell when it was nearby, that did little to ease their fears, especially when, during each prominent sighting, bullets never harmed it. The first sighting was by local implement dealer U.G. Griffith late at night downtown, when a light had woken him up from his slumber. He believed it to be a spotlight, and went out to confront whoever his tormentor was. Instead, he became what is believed to be the first person who saw the large humanoid figure with massive bat-like wings that came to be known as the Van Meter Visitor. Watching as it flew across building tops until it perched atop one of the roofs. Griffith fired at the monstrosity and watched in horror as each bullet was simply shrugged off its massive frame like they were little more than a minor nuisance. When it had enough of the torment, the creature emitted a blindingly bright light from the tip of its horned head, a detail corroborated by subsequent witnesses. Griffith reportedly stated that the light was so bright it illuminated the entire street, rendering it impossible for him to see clearly. The very next night, respected town doctor, Dr. Alcott, was asleep in his office until he too was awoken by a bright light shining through his window that seemed to be scanning the apartment. He went to his window, where he was confronted by the monstrously large visitor.
Hi, how are you?
Who was the source of the blinding bright light that emanated from the short, blunt horn on the top of its head. Fearing for his life, the doctor unloaded his pistol on the creature, firing 5 bullets, which once more seemed to be more of a nuisance than anything harmful to the winged beast, and it soon flew off into the night sky. The terror continued into October, as tales of the creature made its rounds, putting the small town on edge. Peter Dunn, a bank manager, had heard of Dr. Alcott's run-in with the visitor, and believed it to be nothing more than a hoax. But hoaxes and pranks from hooligans are rarely able to absorb bullets and fly off over rooftops. All the same, Dunn decided to spend the night in his bank, looking to catch the perpetrators in the act. Sure enough, Late into the night, he heard strange noises that sounded like choking and gurgling from outside of the bank. When he went to the window, he was greeted with the same blinding light that Griffith and Dr. Alcott had seen. Taking a moment to collect himself, he fired his weapon at the creature until it disappeared from his sight. The following night, the visitor returned again, where O.V. White, a proprietor of the town hardware store, was awakened by the same gurgling and choking that Dunn had heard. Grabbing his gun, he spotted the beastly thing perched atop a telephone pole across the street. He fired on the beastie over and over before becoming overwhelmed by the bright light from its horn and a terrible noxious stench. His gunfire had attracted the attention of Sidney Gregg, another of the town's merchants, who went to find out what the gunshots were all about. He made his way to the same telephone pole where he saw the monster that tilted its head as if listening until the mail train came through, causing the visitor not to immediately fly off like it had every other time, but hop away like a kangaroo before finally taking flight. The matter escalated on October 3rd, when Supervisor J.L. Pratt Jr. was requested by his miners after complaints of terrifying noises coming out from one of the shafts became too much. Pratt described the scene as if Satan and a regiment of imps were coming forth for battle. He went down into the mine, where, to his horror, he witnessed a bat-like humanoid emerging from the darkness, blasting him with a horrifying stench and a bright white light. What's worse, it was soon joined by another, identical in appearance, but smaller. The duo rushed past Pratt and flew off. Enough was enough. Pratt formed an ad hoc militia among the miners and townsfolk to confront the creatures. Armed with firearms, they anxiously waited for the creatures to return to the mine. Finally, at dawn, the winged monsters returned, and were subsequently met with a barrage of gunfire that, much to the men's horror, had little to no effect on them. The terrifying monstrosities dove deep into the mines, vanishing in its dark depths. Immediately, Pratt had the mine sealed, and no verified sightings of the visitor or its smaller brethren have occurred since that day. Locals began whispering that the mine held a gateway to another world, one best left undisturbed. While no credible sightings have come up since, one can't help but wonder, what was the creature that struck fear into the small town of Van Meter? Over the years, various theories have emerged regarding the Van Meter visitor. Some accounts liken the creature to a prehistoric pterosaur.
Holy fucking shit, it's a dinosaur!
Leading to the theory that perhaps the visitor was a prehistoric survivor that somehow managed to survive extinction, and the bright light was a type of subterranean adaptability it had evolved over the millions of years. Others believe it to be extraterrestrial in nature, perhaps an alien, with its bioluminescent horn serving as advanced technology for communication or navigation, maybe even just a part of its own evolutionary journey from wherever it originated from. An alien that perhaps decided to use the mine as its hiding place, while it watched the humans in the town go about their nightly business, watching and waiting. Still others, who latched onto its description as demonic in appearance, suggest that it could be a demon who came through a portal located deep within the mines, a portal to another dimension, or to hell itself. Locals even joked that it might be Satan's idea of a lighthouse, a dark quip that belied their unease. Finally, there is the skeptics' proposed theory that the whole thing was a hoax or caused by mass hysteria. They propose that the events were exaggerated or fabricated.
We created it.
Fueled by fear and the isolation of small-town life in the early 20th century. An odd proposal considering how prominent those who had witnessed the creature were. All the same, primary accounts from newspapers and testimonies of the era, combined with modern investigations, ensure the tale remains alive in both academic and popular circles. Regardless of its origins, the creature's story continues to captivate imaginations, drawing attention to the small Iowa town where it all began. The Van Meter visitor has left a significant imprint on both local and broader cultural landscapes. The visitor is frequently discussed alongside other legendary winged creatures, such as the Mothman and Jersey Devil, contributing to the global discourse on unexplained phenomena. Its unique feature, the blinding light, sets it apart and invites comparisons to extraterrestrial encounters. The story has been documented in works such as The Van Meter Visitor, A True and Mysterious Encounter with the Unknown by Chad Lewis, Noah Voss, and Kevin Lee Nelson. Podcasts and other documentaries further explore the tale, solidifying its place in contemporary cryptid lore. Some speculate that its story inspired elements of popular horror films featuring winged monsters. The creature is a central figure in Van Meter's folklore, often told as a cautionary tale about the unknown. Children are still warned to stay away from the mines, or the visitor will get you. Yet despite this, Van Meter does embrace its cryptid heritage through the Van Meter Visitor Festival, an annual event that attracts cryptozoology enthusiasts and curious visitors from around the world. Festival goers can explore the visitor trail and even participate in a flashlight tour of the old mine entrance, though few dare venture too close. Through festivals, literature, and media, the legend of the Van Meter Visitor persists as a compelling example of humanity's fascination with the unknown. And who knows? Perhaps, deep in the sealed mine, the visitor and its companions still wait, watching and biding their time. And that's the story of the Van Meter Visitor, a creature that has lingered in the shadows of history and the imaginations of those who dare to believe. Whether it was a cryptid, a supernatural entity, or something even stranger, its story has left an undeniable mark on the small town of Van Meter, Iowa, and on the world of the unexplained. What do you think? Was the Van Meter Visitor a real creature, a misidentified animal, or perhaps something out of this world? Let me know in the comments. Your theories might just shed new light on this century-old mystery. If you enjoyed diving into this eerie legend, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you won't miss our next adventure into the unknown. And if you're feeling brave, why not share this video with a friend who loves a good mystery, or who might want to visit Van Meter and explore the legend firsthand? If you like discussing cryptids, the paranormal, and other spooky things, why not join the Wicked Encounters Discord group? We have lots of interesting conversations over there, and if you really like what I do and want to support me, maybe consider checking out my Patreon. Speaking of patrons, I'd like to give a great big thank you to mine, Nakala and Beefalump. You guys are simply the best. Well, that's all I've got time for today. So remember, I'm Allie, this is Wicked Encounters, and I'll see you next time. Bye!